Hello Viking sports followers, we're back with another interview. We will be interviewing today Natasha Jonas, who's recently just fought Terry Harper in a split decision draw. So we're going to put some questions to her, find a bit more out about her, and hopefully answer some of you guys' questions as well. So she'll be joining us shortly. I'm just going to send her over a request, so we should have her in very, very shortly. And don't forget, if you want to ask any questions, then obviously just start dropping them in the comments and we'll try and get through as many as we can. As I said, Natasha Jonas will be joining us very shortly to answer any of your questions. We have some few that we've had sent through to us already. So please share our page. There's going to be more upcoming interviews, and there's going to be more snooker plugs from one of our analysts here called Ryan. So there's going to be plenty coming in the near future. So please keep watching our page. As I said, Natasha will be joining us very shortly. I'm just waiting for her to join at the moment. So if you keep your questions coming in, as I said, we shouldn't be too long before we're underway. Literally just waiting for Tasha to come on and join us, and then we'll get straight into it and start off these questions. Thank you for your question, Kim. We'll definitely ask that once Tasha has joined. We'll try and get that answered as well. So we'll definitely look to get them answered. Totally agree, Yasmin. I do believe Tasha should have won the last fight. It'll be interesting to try and find out what's next for Tasha. So fingers crossed we can get some insight as to what is next for Natasha Jonas. Claire, we can definitely ask the question. We can see if there is going to be that rematch. Obviously, Terry Harper's out in action next weekend, and they can get some information. Okay, we'll give it a couple more minutes, and hopefully she'll be with us. Just waiting on her to come online. So hopefully we won't be too much longer, guys, and we can get underway straight away. Okay, so I think Tasha is now online, so we should have her. She's just had a request sent, so hopefully we'll have her pop up any second, guys. And as I said, we can get straight into it. We've got a lot of questions, and here she is. Hello, Tasha. You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. You okay?
Yeah, good, good. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's a great honour to be able to be speaking to you this evening.
Nice one.
Yeah, how have you been?
It's been all right. It's been just a training day, a bit of
Yeah,
S&C with Johnny and Joe and Callum and the lads. So yeah, it's not too bad.
a bit manic by the sounds of things. So we've got some
If you're
questions.
ignoring, it's not me, it's the dog.
That's all right. So we've got some questions to run through. Obviously, you've come out of fight camp, which was absolutely amazing for us as fans and people watching from home. And to have a women's fight like the one that you were part of was just unbelievable. As I said to people before you joined, I felt that you had done enough in the fight, and a lot hope that you get that chance again against Terry Harper. Um, how did you feel that the fight went, and how was your fight camp experience?
I think like I genuinely thought I won, and when I watched it back, I thought that I won even clearer than I did on the day. But it is what it is. It's not Terry that she doesn't judge herself, so it's nothing to do with Terry. No disrespect to
Yeah,
Terry. It was a good fight. I was just proud to get the kind of open off demons off away. You know what I mean? As in, like people can revert back to something positive instead of just that one defeat against Oberlof. So that was always good. And the fight camp itself, it was like it reminded me a little bit of being, back on the GB squad when you go to a tournament in the middle of nowhere and there's no TV to watch and it was just a bit like that. And you go to the stadium and it's only really the people that are boxing that stay and watch. And it wasn't so that experience wasn't too dissimilar to something that I've been through before. So it wasn't brand new to me. But to be headlining a show and to have all the pyrotechnics and it'd be a big occasion and a different occasion was really nice and it's good to be a part of.
yeah, and obviously, there's a lot of fighters out there that have a fight, have a disappointing result that they don't think has gone their way. Obviously, you've had time now to definitely reflect and sit back and think what's next for Natasha Jonas. So what is next for you?
At the minute, I'm waiting for a date, whether that's from Eddie or whether that's from whoever. Michaela Meyer just won um, at one of the belts at the weekend. So anyone who's got a belt, that's really who I want. So my weight ranges. It can range from anything from, you know, super feather to light welter. So anyone who's got a belt within that scale, you know,
Yeah.
that's who I want. It doesn't matter who to me. Um, I've just, you know, set me mindset is to go and be a world champion, and that's what I want to do, regardless of what that belt is.
Yeah, and you know, you can definitely tell that from obviously your last fight with Terry Harper. You know, your camp must have been fantastic. You come out and had a belter of a fight, and it, you know, as I said before, and you know, my opinion is is that you definitely done enough to win that fight. It's just a shame, but obviously, hopefully down the line there could be that rematch. Hopefully Eddie can sort that out and get that done. But in the meantime, I hope you get your world title shot, definitely.
Oh, cheers, thank you. Me too.
Yeah. So what was it that actually got you into boxing originally? What was the motivation and the reasons behind it?
There wasn't. Getting into boxing was totally an accident. I used to play football, got injured, and for a whole year I couldn't do any type of sport. I was living in America. I'd come home. I'd lost a group of friends. I'd put on a lot of weight, and I started just training in my uncle's karate gym by myself. And there was a woman who used to kind of watch the gym for my uncle because he didn't used to live by it. Um, and she kept on seeing me going in and out and training by myself. And eventually she like came over and was like, why do you always train by yourself? What are you doing? I was like, oh, you know, just trying to lose a bit of weight and do something. Didn't have a job, weren't working at the time. And I just wanted to get some motivation back, really. And she said, oh, I've just started a women's only boxing night at the local club. Wouldn't you do that instead of like, you know, just training by yourself? And I kind of thought to myself, like, boxing, who wants to do boxing? No, not really. But she bugged me that much that I just went. And that club was the Rotunda, and that was 15 years ago. I've never looked back since.
Yeah, and obviously you've had experience as well through the GB ranks, and obviously the Olympic experience, and obviously coming up now, you know, one of the biggest names in women's boxing at the moment in Katie Taylor. What was that experience like to one see her from that perspective, and obviously the difference between the pro game and the amateur game?
But when I when I first got my first international, um, everyone was like, "Oh, like you need to see this girl, you need to see Katie, you need to see Katie, you need to watch Katie." And like literally, like I said, it's only really ever the people that are participating in the tournament that really stay through, especially when you're not in the semi-final, final stage, like during the week bout, that
Yeah,
you need them people that watch. So every time Katie boxed, the whole place would come, like every athlete would be there and coach would be there to watch. And the only other person I know that people did that with was Lomachenko.
okay.
I remember being in the lads Europeans, and Danny Price saying to me, "Oh, you need to come and watch this kid from the Ukraine, Lomachenko. He's brilliant." And I remember watching it. I was like, "Wow!" But the whole of that crowd, like all the lads and all the
Yeah.
participants and all the coaches, they used to do the same with him. And you know, for a long time, Katie was way ahead of many females, and you know, arguably she still is with all the titles that she's got at the minute. Um, and yeah, it was just mad because like eventually people started catching up, and for a good 4 years, I never seen her get beat, and there was never even a close fight. But
Yeah.
then Jordan, as time went by, people started like the standard improved, and obviously Katie was the standard. So people started to catch up, and by the time the Olympics came, you know, I think she'd lost one fight before that, and it was just yeah, it was. But in them Olympics for the whole like from 2009 till when the 2012 Olympics, we'd never had a tournament at home, so we'd never had any kind of anything here in Britain or in England. And when you go abroad, for whatever reason, whether it's politics or whatever, the whole world hates England. So
Yeah.
every time we box, or every time, like, you know, the announce next in the ring is whatever, whoever of England or Wales, or they'll just boo because they absolutely hate us.
Yeah.
And so then to fast forward that, and you go to 2012, and you know it was the arguably the biggest tournament is the Olympics for an amateur anyway, and then it's at home. There was, you know, 99% of the crowd is cheering for you, which is like, you know, they announced my name and people cheered. I was like, oh God, that doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
So that was just crazy. And then, like, obviously, I didn't come out with a medal, but me and Katie came out with an Olympic record of the loudest crowd participation noise, which is just mental considering, like, the likes of this. We beat the stadium, we beat every indoor thing, every outdoor thing. That's just mad. That, but
Yeah.
you know, that a bit of Irish and Scottish combining there.
Well, there's always been that connection anyway, isn't there, between the Irish and the Scousers. So it's a good record to have, and obviously a great experience, and obviously to have it on home soil as well is just must have been amazing. So that's really good. What do you say is the main difference and the biggest thing that you had to learn and develop upon from moving from that amateur level to the pro game?
There's loads of things. I think you know, we there was things that we incorporated in our training that we didn't do or that I'd never done before, like things like swimming and but I think one of the main things was that amateur mindset of one, rushing, and two, like, if somebody, especially at the time when I was amateur, because it was points. So if someone hit you and scored in the scoring zone, that was a point. So you had to get the point back and another point to win. So it's getting out of that mindset of just, yeah, it's still kind of points, but you just need to win the round.
Yeah,
And if that's a big difference. And you know, you have got a lot longer. Losing a round in amateur, you know, then you've got to win the next one, then you've got to win the next two to, like, you know, and if you lose a round, you're kind of in a panic mode to win it back. Whereas in professional, you know, especially if you're fighting for a championship, you've got 10 rounds. So if you lose one round, it's like, right, didn't really want to start that way, but you've got another 9 rounds to catch
yeah,
up. So it's not like, it's not that panic doesn't really set in as much as because you just, like, you know, you've got lots of time to win it back.
yeah. That's good. So we've just started looking after Kim Bergen, who's based in Ireland, and one of the questions that we got in surrounding amateurs was, what would you give as a tip to an amateur who's wanting to eventually get into the pro game? What would your tip be in order to help them get to that next level?
Do you mean like competing wise or
Competing wise, yeah.
competing wise? I think, you know, have a good team and plan your route of how you're going to get there, because that's really important. Um, Nobody really designs for setbacks, but you know, you have a route that you want to take, have a belt that you want to identify, have someone that you look at and think that's my target, that's who I want to be, that's where I want to get to, and yeah, be realistic. That's it really.
Yeah, that's good. So I know that you are currently mentoring a couple of young fighters. Who do you currently work with that you see really progressing to that next level? Obviously through the amateurs, potentially in the GB squad, and then moving up like you have done into the pro game. Have you got anyone out there at the moment that you really feel can take that step?
I think I think the standard of women's boxing. I'm not going to say from 2012, before 2012, we always knew how good it was. We just needed the world to see it, and it'll take, you know, that Olympic cycle to go through to get them elite boxers through, to get the numbers up and get the depth in the sport that the men have. But I think once you're at that level of elite amateur, I'm not saying great amateur is going to be a great pro, but it puts you in good stead. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I think most of everyone I know of the GB females, you know, the Sandy Ryans, Lauren Price, Caroline de Boer, I can't even think of everyone else's name, but even the old ones, Lisa Whiteside, they have all got that skill set to be able to push on and to, it sounds terrible, but start a little bit above some females who are pro now. And then you've got the likes, I've sparred Amy Timlin, I've sparred Rachel Ball, worked with Badminton, worked with Louise Elwood, where, these are, nobody knows who these are yet, but I'm pretty sure that they will do. Chantal Cameron, another one, Savannah's another one, I'm trying to think. There's the talent is there. We just, we need the help. We need the promotion and the big support and everything else to get the name there, because the talent is there. We just need the promotion to push it through, if that makes sense.
I think Eddie Hearn has really started to think, well, actually women's boxing is there's a big following for it. The likes of Frank Warren, maybe not so much. You don't tend to see many females at all on a card, let alone headlining a card like you've done, and obviously Katie Taylor's done many a time. So I
think, to be fair to Frank, he's quite vocal on that he doesn't like it, and that's not good for us. But he doesn't like it, so he doesn't put it on. Like, it's not great for sport, but that's probably why you don't see much of it on his. He had Nicola Adams kind of possibly because he had to, and that was the thing BT Sport made him do. But now that she's gone, it opens the gate. But like I said, it's there, the market's there. There's no longer, that much of an argument anymore about should women box and should women not. It's now everyone wants it to be fair now. That we've kind of passed that argument. We need to push it down and progress it, and it's down to the big, the big name, the Al Haymans, the Top Ranks, the Eddie Hearns, the Frank Warrens. It is down to them to push some females through.
Yeah, and Eddie's been doing that for a long period of time now. Definitely the last few years he's been pushing it, especially with next weekend's card. Obviously you've got Katie Taylor, Terry Harper's back out in action, and obviously Rachel Ball with her first world title shot.
That isn't.
But I just wanted to touch on that event, and obviously Rachel Ball had a very tough, and some would say a debatable win over Shannon Courtney, obviously in fight camp. What do you think it's too early for Rachel, or do you think it's never too early when you're in the pro game?
No, I think you've got to take the opportunities when they come, and your career isn't going to last forever, and people aren't going to want to always be behind you and support you and see what it is forever. So as you're riding the crest of the wave, like anything, you've got to keep on top of it. The same with women's boxing in 2012. The same with netball in 2016 in the Commonwealth Games. The same with football. Once you've got that base of fans that want to see you progress and do well, and got that support level, then you need to keep that with you and keep it going and keep the momentum behind you.
Yeah, definitely. So with that in mind, obviously you've got a potential dates, waiting for you ahead. Have you got anyone in mind that you would want to fight before the dreaded, question that everyone says, when's retirement? Is there anyone that you want to fight before it gets to that stage?
Everyone. Everyone, absolutely everyone. I always, like I said, it's a little bit harder for females to avoid there's loads of fights in men's boxing that never happen, or they happen too late, or when someone's too old, or when someone's a little bit past it. And with women's boxing, it's a little bit harder to do that because the like the depth of it is so small. So, but the good thing about female boxing is that everybody wants to fight the best,
Yeah.
and everybody wants to make a name and be somebody, because no disrespect to the sport, but it's easier for us to do that.
Yeah.
So if we want to do it, promoters want to do it, then why is it not happening?
Yeah.
I let's just do it. But me personally, I'll fight anyone. I just want to have a title and be a world
Yeah.
champ.
Definitely. Well, the thing that I really admire about the women's boxing is that, like you said, there is no woman fighter out there that doesn't want to fight someone. Whereas the men's boxing, obviously, it can be very frustrating. You've got the AJ Fury, AJ Wilder. It's been going on for the last 2 years, 3 years.
God, the leading Canelo. It's
Yeah,
just people can avoid people that they want to, and there's fights that do eventually happen, Mayweather Pacquiao, but you think that was a little bit later than it could have been, a
yeah,
little bit earlier when both was at peaks, but it doesn't. I'm not saying it never happens in female boxing, but it doesn't happen as much. Maybe the Serrano and Katie Taylor fight, that's probably possibly one of the only ones that I can think of that was a super mega fight that possibly will never happen now. But
yeah.
that's most of how many.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, there's, as I said, women's boxing is definitely up and coming, and I'm really looking forward to obviously seeing you out. And obviously, there's loads of upcoming women's fights that are scheduled, especially next weekend, which is going to be a cracker. So yeah, fingers crossed we get a date for you very soon.
Yeah, well, I'll be on Sky anyway, commentating for next week.
Yeah,
Even though I won't be actually fighting.
oh, that'd be good. It'd be good to just see you out there, and hopefully you can pin Eddie down and get a date.
Give him in a headlock. I plan
Yeah.
to.
So one of the other questions that we had in was, do you have any male boxers that are a real inspiration? I know I saw you out with Callum Smith, obviously fighting Pride of Liverpool between the two of you. And then is there a woman boxer out there that you really are inspired by, and you've not molded your skill set into, but have taken aspects of that and molded it into your own?
To be honest, before I actually became a pro myself, there wasn't many female boxers that I actually knew of. There was, the Layla Ali, and I remember she fought Foreman's daughter, Anne Wolf, Lucy Riker, and then our very own Jane Couch. They was the four. That's the only people I could name.
Yeah,
And I remember at the time I used to play football, but I remember I did like, but I've always liked boxing. It's something me and my dad have always watched together, and like that was our little thing. And I remember seeing, I think it was in '96, was it or something, that she took the British Boxing Board of Control to court to be able to fight. And I thought, you know what, good on her. But I did never think how obviously later on in life that would affect me.
yeah,
And like I'm like, I was a footy player then, and I was just like, go ahead, girl, good on you. And then like obviously comes around, and like it's only because of Jane that I'm allowed to box anyway. So
yeah,
when you look at inspirational people, I think she's definitely someone who I look up to, and she is very outspoken, and she's very sometimes she's just a normal person that like says what's on her mind and says how she feels, and she doesn't care who she upsets. She wants to make things better for everyone, and I think that's a good, if you've got a platform and you're positive, and you've got the ability to do something positive, and speak up, then you should.
yeah.
Right now I feel like another person is Brackhouse. I feel like just things, again, it is the way it's what she does in the ring. Obviously she's done all this and had the titles. Yes, she lost to McCaskill, but it's the way she carried herself that
Yeah,
and the way she's yeah, you've got to admire that. Whether you win or you lose, you just carry yourself a little bit differently. And people like that, when they're in a room or in an arena, you can feel their presence. If they might not say a word, but you can feel the presence, and I think that's what they have. And again, another person like that is Katie. You know, she doesn't really speak much, doesn't really say anything, but you know, she's in the room.
Yeah, lovely. And my last question, one from me, is: do you have a venue that you would love to fight in again before that dreaded announcement comes? Is there a venue that you just is on there that's always been there that you just want to have a fight at, and that's another thing ticked off your list there?
I remember having tickets to go and watch Mayweather and Hatton, I think it was, in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go because I was boxing for England at the time. And my dad had specially bought me these tickets. And I was absolutely gutted, but I didn't end up going. I ended up winning my first ever international medal anyway. But to box either Vegas or Madison Square Garden, just to be able to say, like, to have that thing with my dad and be like, look, we made it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that I think those two places are definitely obviously up there. I know there's obviously other fighters with inside Liverpool that, you know, Liverpool, as in Anfield, has now got
Yeah.
rights to be able to show boxing. Would you be down for something like that to fight at Anfield if there was that opportunity? Obviously, open air and a big crowd.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'd never turn down an Anfield. I'd never turn down a Wembley. I'd never turn down a Cardiff. But when you're thinking about meccas and like
Yeah,
historical things of boxing, you know, Vegas and Madison Square Garden have had some mega nights and mega upsets as well.
yeah,
So
yeah. No, definitely. Well, I'd like to thank you for your time today. It's really appreciated. And I do wish you all the best, and hopefully we get that fight date soon. And again, a real big thank you to helping us out with our first giveaway that we got to recently. So I really appreciate that and your time this evening.
no, I put it in the post today, so you should get it.
That's
Thank you. Thanks for everyone logging on, and thanks for the support as well. It's
yeah.
always appreciated.
All right. Have a good rest of your evening, and thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.